Of the few Chinese car brands who have received some level of global recognition, very few of them are premium brands. One of those select few is NIO, but now NIO is going from premium to mainstream with their all-new brand, Onvo, and their first model, the L60.
Welcome to Wheelsboy, where we cover the newest, coolest, and wildest vehicles from the Chinese car market. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell.
This video is available to all our subscribers, but if you want to get behind the scenes at the Onvo launch event and hear more of my thoughts about the Onvo L60, consider joining the Wheelsboy Fanny Pack Club to gain access to this and other benefits, like early access to videos. Hit the link in the pinned comment to learn more. It's difficult to overstate how important the Onvo brand is to the future of NIO as a company. Onvo is going to basically be a driver for volume for them. It's also going to act, hopefully, or in theory, as a way to bring people into the NIO ecosystem, starting with the more affordable Onvo brand, and as their families grow, and hopefully their income as well, onward and upward to a more premium and expensive NIO car. Before I forget, the pre-sale price for the L60 is $30,500 US here in China. We expect that price to drop even lower when it launches in September, especially when they begin offering their battery as a service option, wherein you rent the battery for a monthly payment. As I think we've fully established at this point, Onvo is operating in the mainstream segment, which is a very different marketing position from the more premium NIO brand. You would therefore expect them to come out with a maybe more restrained design, but I think the exterior styling on the Onvo L60 is as sporty as any other NIO that I've ever seen. Take, for example, the separated upper DRLs and lower headlight units. The design language on this car is called way up. I don't know if they mean on the way up or it's way up, but either way, way up. Onvo says that the L60 will have 30 sensing units in their sensor suite. Say that one 5 times fast. 30 sensing units in their sensor suite, but one of those units is not a LiDAR. That tells us that the navigation on autopilot in city environments that they demonstrated to us at their launch event is going to be vision and radar based, cameras up here, radar all over here, instead of LiDAR based. As of now, we know that the L60 is going to have 2 different powertrains, both obviously pure electric. There's going to be a rear motor version, which will make about 320 horsepower, and a dual motor version making around 455 horsepower. We also know that it is going to have battery swapping technology for its 2 different battery packs, 60 kilowatt hour or 90 kilowatt hour. That 60 kilowatt hour pack is produced by BYD and is in that blade formation with which we're so familiar. Onvo owners will have access to the 1,200 or so Gen 3 NIO swapping stations. Now, it remains to be seen how NIO owners, some of whom paid 2 to 3 times as much for their car as an Onvo owner, will feel about having to share those swapping stations with that many people. One tidbit that Onvo did share with us last night at the launch event for the L60 is that it will use FSD, or frequency selective damping, in its suspension. This is different than constant damping control, which is available on the more expensive models like the NIO ES6. FSD, on the other hand, we've experienced before in very affordable cars, including the BYD Han sedan. They also showed off a turning circle that was smaller than a Mini Countryman, despite a sizable wheelbase of 2.95 meters, or 10% longer than the Mini. The L60 has this sloping coupe-like roofline, 1, because consumers seem to really like them, and 2, because they're very good for aerodynamics. So good, in fact, that they were able to achieve a drag coefficient of 0.229, the lowest for any SUV in the world. That's also a major factor, I'm sure, in how they were able to achieve the levels of efficiency that they're claiming for this car. Specifically 12.1 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers compared to the 12.5 of a Tesla Model Y. Rear cargo space was also a highlight, able to fit 2 28-inch suitcases, 2 24-inch cases, and an additional 20-inch under the floor. Another way that Onvo is able to achieve that level of efficiency in their powertrain is because this car now rides on the NT 3.0 electrical architecture. That's a 900-volt charging architecture, the same one that's going to eventually underpin the NIO ET9 flagship sedan, because why wait to put your most advanced tech into your flagship car when you can put in your cheapest car first? The overall shape and profile of the L60 is more akin to a lifted sedan than it is a traditional SUV. Think more Polestar 4 than Chevy's Suburban, obviously. The rear end styling, I think, is quite akin to the first generation of NIO vehicles, especially the first generation NIO EC6, with these dramatic rear taillights. Onvo's launch event was more notable for what it didn't mention than what it did. They demonstrated things like interior space that was larger than the Model Y, allowing two 1.83 meter or 6-foot twins to sit inside the car one behind the other, each with considerably more leg and headroom than they would have in a Model Y. Overall space was large enough that the twins could walk through the second row with surprising ease. The takeaway for me was that the L60 was all about being family friendly, not lapping a racetrack. Onvo has released some information regarding the interior of this car, including the fact that it has a 17.2-inch 3K center screen and a 13-inch heads-up display. It also doesn't have an instrument cluster. Very Tesla style, but the thing is, I can tell you about it. I've actually been inside of it. I've touched everything, but I can't show it to you. I don't understand either, but good news is there will be a test drive event for this car prior to its launch in September of this year. So what you need to do right now is like, subscribe, and hit the bell to make sure you don't miss when we participate in that test drive event.